Hi, everybody, and welcome to this session of Beyond Getting Started. Today, I want to talk about sets and set actions. First, just a little bit about me. We may not have met before. My name is Jim Dehner. I'm one of the Tableau Visionaries. I also am a Forums Ambassador. I co-lead the Tableau Newbie User Group, as well as the Nashville Tug. And if you live anywhere in or around Nashville, please look us up. We'd love to have you as a new member. We're going to start by discussing the differences between filters, groups, and sets. Those are three things that you can do that structure the data or work with the structure of the data in the data table for your individual worksheets. Each one of your worksheets has a separate data table. And you might hear us talk about the underlying data or the data table. It's the table that's associated with your individual worksheet. Now, you can take in that data table, you can apply filters, and filters will filter out data that's in the table. So if you start with a full data set and you apply a filter, you're eliminating data or you're removing data from that data table. Groups, on the other hand, work with the entire data table. It's all the records that are in the data table, and it creates a hierarchy for you in that table so that you can drill down within that hierarchy. But today we're going to focus on sets. And sets also work with the entire data table and creates two categories: records that are in the set and records that are out of the set. And we're going to take a look at uses for that, and I'm going to show you some use cases. But first, let's talk about the data table and look at some examples here of what happens to that data table as we apply filters or groups. And as always, the data that I'm using is the Superstore data. It's the same data that came with your copy of Tableau, and you can recreate anything that I've done today, or you can download it later from my my Tableau public site. This is just a simple chart, a text chart, if you will, and all I've got on here is subcategory and sales, and I put a filter. This is just a plain filter, and we're looking at a filter on subcategory. And you see I've selected some subcategories that are not filtered out. And I can change what's filtered and what's not filtered. Here I've got a drop down on multiple selection, and I can add copiers, or I can add envelopes, or I can take things out. Let's see what happens to the actual data table as I do that. If I come up here to this drop down, right next here, you can see it says View Data. And if I click that, it's going to open up here and it's going to show us the total. This is the total data set that you entered into Tableau. And if we look at that, the Superstore data set has 10,000 records in it. Okay, just keep that number in mind. There's 10,000 records that we entered into Tableau. I can also come up here to the Analysis tab, and I can open the Analysis tab, and I can look at the View Data on that tab, and that's the data that's in the data table for this particular worksheet. So I can open that, and we can see that, first of all, it's going to tell us in summary, we're looking at 6 rows of data, and we're looking at 2 fields. But if we go over here and we take a look at orders again, the total, I have filtered this such that now there's only 4,400 records. The other 5,000 records or 5,000 plus records have been filtered out. They're in these subcategories that are no longer in the data table for this particular worksheet. Well, let's go over and we're going to take a look at grouping data. And I want to take a look at groups of data. And I've created a group for based on subcategory, and it's right here. And to create a group, there's several ways you can do it. I did this manually. If I open the drop down and I look at edit group, I could have gone to create group when I created it. But edit group, you can see here's the 3 groups I created. I created groups A through C, and I just alphabetically, I manually created the group A through C, E and F, and I've also looked at L and T. And all you do to create them is you just highlight them and then create group. So that's how the group was created. Okay. And we're going to just cancel that and get it out of the way. So you can see I've got 3 groups now, and I've created a hierarchy. I've got the subcategories are part of the groups. Okay, so accessories through copiers are in the A to C group, and envelopes through furniture are in the E through F group, and so on. Now, if I go back to analysis and I open that up, I can see on orders, well, first of all, on the summary table, I've got 17 rows or 17 subcategories. I've got 17 rows, and we're looking at 3 fields. And the 3 fields are the fields that you see here: the grouping, the subcategory, and the sales. If I go look at orders, there's still 10,000 rows of data. We haven't filtered anything out of the data set. We've just created a hierarchy. So now we've got a different organization in that data table, and we can use it in our analysis. I want to take a real quick look at a set, and I've created a set here, and this set I created it right here, and all I've done to create this set, and I've created this manually again, is I've selected some items from the table, and appliances through copiers are what are in, and also paper through tables are what is in the set. And I did that manually. There's no magic here going on. It's just done manually. So now I've got what's in the set and what's out of the set. And I got two groupings, if you will. I've got, they've been categorized as either being in or out. And if we go over here to analysis again, and we look at view data, we've got still 17 rows. Okay, there's still 17 subcategories. Nothing's been eliminated. We've got 3 fields. Okay, this first field now is either in or out. There's only 2 options here, in or out. And then, of course, the sales field. And if we look at the orders, we still have the 10,000 rows of data. So nothing has been eliminated. So we start thinking about doing filtering. Filtering is going to eliminate data from the data table. Grouping and sets do not eliminate rows from the data table. You're still working with the entire data set. You can look at this a number of ways. We've been looking at text tables. We could look at a bar chart, for example, and we can just look at what's in and what's out. And if we pull subcategory off of here, we can just look and we can see what's been in the group and what's out of the group, and what the total sales are in the group and what the total sales are out of the group. There's some other things that you can do with this. I took this set that I created and I put it up here on filters, and all I did here was I just wanted to, I see the in and the out, and then I also came back and I showed the members in that set. You can come back and can show the set here. Okay. And with that, now I can treat this in a way that it's very similar to what you might do with a filter. I can just start moving subcategories from the in group to the out group, or vice versa. I can take envelopes, for example, and put it in the in group. Your user and the user interface here would look exactly like they were doing a filter, but they're actually working with a set. And the advantage to you is you still have all the data available to you. And you'll see in some use cases that we're just about to start here, one, that becomes an advantage because you haven't eliminated any data from the data set. Let's take a look at some use cases. These are things that you've probably come up against, or things that I see all the time out on the forums. The first one, and the most basic use for sets, is what we usually refer to as proportional brushing, where we want to take a look at the proportion of in this case, sales that are in the set or out of the set. And once again, I've started with this subcategory set. It's the same set that we've been looking at. It's this set right here. And I now have in the set only these items, art through envelopes, and we did that manually. We just made that change. And I've taken that set and I've placed it on color. So the in grouping is colored blue and the out grouping is colored gray. And within that, what I've done next is I place sales on column. So I'm going to get a horizontal bar chart, and we're looking at segment. So we can take a look in the consumer segment, the total of the in group the items that are in the set. And I want to show that set again. Appliances through envelopes make up about $500,000 of the consumer category out of the total. Well, we can take this and what I'd like to do, and when we talk about proportional brushing, very often we're looking at percent of the total, and I want to look at the percent of total across. So another way of looking at this, and this is the concept of proportional brushing here, in the consumer segment, the set made up by appliances through envelopes represent just like 44% of the total. And in the corporate world, it's like 40% of the total. In home office, it's a little like 37% of the total. And once again, we can change the set just as we did before, and I can add items to the set. And let's throw phones in here because it's a big item. And you can see what the proportion of the total sales in the set are versus those that are out of the set. Well, I've got to talk now about where sets happen in the order of operation, because I'm going to start applying some filtering on this, and we can see how filtering is going to affect the set creation itself. Sets are created in step 4 of the order of operation, and I use this 10-step model. If you're not familiar with this, I believe in the 4th session of Beyond Getting Started, I dedicated that to the order of operation. I recommend that you go back and view that entire video. But sets are created in step 4. They're created at the same time that fixed LOD is determined and top N is determined. Okay, and that's right between context filters and dimension filters. And if you remember what we talked about when we talked about the order of operation, if you want the filter to affect the sets, then you apply that filter in context. Okay. If you don't want the filter to affect the sets, you apply the filter as a dimension filter. Now let's see how that works. And we're going to take a look at an example here. And this is a different example. I just created a map of the United States. All I did was throw states on the canvas, and it created a map of the United States. And I've got a set. And all this set is, I come over to the top N on the Sets tab, okay? Here we're using all, and we're going to use the top N, and I hard-coded it to 10, okay, based on the sum of sales. So here are the top 10 states by the sum of sales. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank goodness, it totaled 10. We have 10. And now you say, well, wait, are we looking at 2020? Let's change to 2021 and we'll see what those are. Okay, and we see that in 2021, we still have 10. We still have 10, but those 10 are not the same as they were in 2020. You can see here that Illinois is now in 2021. It's one of the top 10. And in, it was in Virginia is the new player when it wasn't in 2021. Now we've done that because we've got the year of the order date. We place that in context. So what's happening here is the order date is being filtered by the context filter, okay, before the set is determined. Okay. So when I change from 20 to 21, we get a different set. Indiana is out, and I guess this is North Carolina is in. Okay. If I didn't want that filter to affect the sets, I would not use it in context. So I'm going to remove it from context now. And we can see the top 10 overall. And this is unaffected by the filter. You can see that there are 10 items here. And we can see the 10. The top 10 are going to remain the same and they're going to be constant. But that's a function of when the filter is applied. If you're applying it as a dimension filter, a blue filter, it is applied after the set is created. If you're applying it in context, the filter is applied before the set is created, and it will affect the filter itself. I want to go on and take a look at using a condition to determine what the set is. I would like to identify all the subcategories, and I've just opened up, I've created a set, and on the tab where we create the set, I'm looking under condition now, and I've written this formula. And this box works like an LOD expression, okay? So we want to look, and we have to aggregate the dimension in here. So I want to look at the sum of sales greater than 15,000. And when the sum of sales is greater than 15,000, those items are in the set. When the sum of sales is less than 15,000, those items are not in the set. They're out of the set, okay? So if we take a look at the year here, 2021, there are 4 categories that are out of the set, and the remaining categories are all in the set. And if we take a look at the threshold we set, and I hard coded it again, we could have made it a parameter, or we could have made it any value that we wanted. I hard coded it at 15,000, and sure enough, all these values that are out of the set are less than 15,000. We could take a look at 2020, and we can see now there's 5 categories that are not in the sets. Supplies was slightly below 15,000, so it is out of the set. We can have more than 1 year in the set, okay? And we've changed, now there's only 4 categories. So what is in the set are those totals that are less than 15,000. And what's out of the set are all those totals that are greater than 15,000. Now I want to take a look at one additional option here, and I want to take 2 sets and combine them at the same time. Now you're going to say, hey, wait a minute. They're both created during step 4 of the order of operation. Isn't there going to be a conflict? And yes, but there is a way to get around that conflict, and I want to show you what that is. Here I've created an additional set, and this additional set is based on region. And all I've done to create this set, and I'm going to show you the set, it's just a simple selection based on the region dimension. And right now I've got it set to east and south. Okay, the other set that I have in here is the subcategory set. Greater than 15,000. It's this set that we've looked at before. Let me edit the set. It's the set based on this condition. Okay, now I've placed our regional in-out category. Regions are set based on regions on columns, and I placed our set based on the condition greater than 15,000 on rows. So I've got on rows, all of these subcategories are greater than 15,000. On columns, I have east and south on the in and central and west on the south, or central and west on the out. So I've got categories of in, and in, out, and out, in, and out, out. And I've included in, I've shown the region here, and I've shown the subcategories so that you can see that sure enough, all these subcategories are less, meet the criteria in total of 15,000. And all of the outs do not. So I can pull subcategory off of here, and I can put region off of here. And it's a little easier to see. I've got the in category, and this would be the combination of the 2 sets. Is a little over $1 million of total sales. The out category is $1.2 million. And that's how you go about combining 2 sets. I've got one additional example that I want to show you. And I think it's easiest to show you where we're headed, and then I'll show you how we got here. And this example uses sets and set filters. It's driven off this top chart here. I've created a bar chart. And in here, I've got the 4 regions, just like we were looking at, and we were looking at sales by category in the 4 regions. And I use this set I use the set created by this region to drive what we see in this map and also to drive what we see in this in these pie charts. And we're going to look at these in detail here. This pie chart is just the percent of profit in the in category based on the market, based on the individual market segments, consumer, corporate, and home office. And what we can do here is that I'm using a set action to change the set value and affect all the other charts. So if I hit the control, for example, and we're on central and I want to add a south to the south central, now both the central and the south regions are in the inset. And you can see the values in our bar chart have changed and our total values in the bar chart have changed. And the values in our pie charts have all changed. We can come over and we can add east, for example, and you can see now we've got 3/4 of the United States in the inset and the west is not in the set. Or we could change it and we can just take a look at the west. So I usually refer to this as a value picker. We're picking a value of region and that's going to affect the set. And I want to show you how that is created. Let's start, and we're going to look at each one of these charts individually. I want to take a look at this chart. This is the chart that I'm using for the value picker in itself. And on this chart, what we've got is this is the same set. Whoops, I'm sorry. It's the region one that I want to look at. Okay. This is the category we're looking at, or this is the set that I've created. And all it is a simple selection, just based on the selection. There's nothing on condition. We're not looking at the top end or anything like that. It's just a plain selection set. And the set will be changed using a parameter action or a set action. Okay. And you can see that I've used color and I placed on the color tile the set. So the inset is going to be colored in blue and the outset is going to be colored in gray. Okay. I also use that same set as a filter on my map of the US so that we can come back and we can see what states are included in the in set, if you will. And this map is color coded based on profit. And I've got one final chart here, and it's just a pie chart. And the segments in the pie are based on the sum of profit. And once again, in consistency here, the inset is blue and the out is gray. So now all we need to do is we need to add a set action to our chart to change the set. And we do that by going up on dashboard and we selected action. And now I've created a action, and this is a set action, and you could, it's a set action, and we're going to change the set action based on what I select in this value picker itself. And that set is going to, the set that we're going to change, the target set, is from the Superstore data set, and it is the set that we've applied on each one of those worksheet. Okay. And all we're going to do is add it to the table. Okay. So now, when we've done that, I can change the set. Right now, we're looking at the west. I can make it the south. Okay. And now we're looking at the southern states of the United States, and we're looking at the percent of profit in the southern states. And you can see the total, and you can see what's in each the sales that are in each one of the regions by subcategory. By holding the control key, I can select multiple regions. Now we're going to talk in the next section, we're going to talk about parameters. Parameters are limited to one selection. You can have one value in a parameter. Sets are not limited by that. You can have multiple values, and that makes them very versatile. I mean, we can use it here. As you see, I can look at 2 regions at a time, or I can look at all the regions at a time. And we can do that by holding down the control key. Okay, we've taken a look at sets today. Sets are different than filters. Sets allow you to work with the entire data set. We're not eliminating data from the data table. We're only grouping it into 2 categories. What's in the set and what's out of the set. Once we've identified what's in the set, we can use it for proportional brushing. We can use it to group data together, and we can use a value picker to change the set. I hope you learned something about sets today. Next time, we're going to be talking about parameters, and I look forward to seeing you then. This information is already out on my blog at jimdehner.com, and this workbook is out on my Tableau public site. Thank you very much. It's good spending time with you today. Bye now.